Okay, I take it that, great. Okay, so everybody can hear me. So let me start by introducing myself. My name is Munirah Osman, and I joined Regent about almost 3 years ago. And when I joined as the head of the School of Law and Administration. Currently, I'm not in that position. Currently, I am the Teaching, Learning, and Innovation Manager, but I have been in the business of legal education for a very, very long time, almost 26 years worth of it. So tonight I want to start off by actually sharing with you a little story and then go into the topic. Very, very interesting topic that I want to talk to you about, as you all are mostly interested in commerce and law at some point or the other. I want to be able to demonstrate to you that all of you who are interested are obviously tomorrow's leaders, right? And I want to be able to talk about what kind of education you will need today in terms of commerce and law, and understanding commerce and law in a global context, and how that will put you in a position to actually be tomorrow's leaders. So that's the topic that I've crafted for this evening to talk to you about. Um, Tomorrow's leaders, education in commerce and law for globalized world. And so, as I said, I want to start with a little story about this student. Let's call her Amy. And she's been dreaming of making a significant impact in the world of business. And so Amy is deeply grandfather. Her grandfather was once a great, successful businessman. He had quite an impact in the business world. And he did his business with a keen sense of justice. And she always remembers the conversations she's had with her grandfather, and used to tell her, and throw gems at her while they used to have these conversations. And a couple of them were in vain. He used to say to her, in business, knowing the rules isn't just about compliance. So it's not just about knowing what rules are and how they apply. It's also about shaping the future. So he's telling her, you're going to have a role to play in the future. And he said, remember, my lawyer friend told me this a long time ago. Every commercial transaction has a legal implication. So you must understand how law and commerce really intersect. So today, Amy is one student who's very, very interested in the BCom Law program at the Regent Business School. And here she's actually learning about various different things. She's learning how to navigate the complex intersections of commerce and law. It's not easy, it's quite unique, but it's complex. And she's also exploring, to some extent, there's a growing field that we offer some programs in, which is Islamic finance and banking, and recognizing these potentials in the global world that we find ourselves situated in. And through her education, Amy is the student who is not only then going to be following in her grandfather's footsteps, but is also preparing to become a leader in a community that is rapidly changing, rapidly developing, and a very, very interconnected global community that we find ourselves within. So, ladies and gentlemen, Amy's journey is not unique, I'm sure. I'm sure it mirrors some of the aspirations that you have. And it also shows the determination and the opportunities of many young South Africans today who are actually looking to make their mark in this increasingly globalized world that we find ourselves in. And so, what then is the role of us, the educators, the facilitators of learning, etc., in this? And it is our role, therefore, at Regent Business School to be able to equip those who are interested in this area of the law with the necessary knowledge, the skills, the ethical foundations, all of those things that they need in order to succeed in this particular work. And so let me kick off. Let me just put on my slideshow. So sorry that I didn't put it on earlier. And I'm going to actually switch off my video so we can concentrate on the presentation. You, right. And so I told you about Amy's little journey. And what I want to talk about next is basically this intersection between commerce and law. Okay. Now, the fields of commerce and law are intrinsically linked with each other. Commerce thrives on a foundation of legal structures or legal frameworks or legal regulations. And these regulations have to ensure that there's fair play, that rights are protected, and that transactions are being able to be facilitated. So it's providing a sort of legal framework for all of these things to happen. And conversely, the law, right, often evolves in response to commercial innovations and needs. So you see the symbiotic relationship. While commerce has to have the regulations, etc., in order for it to thrive, law is the one that provides that regulations because there's a need within the field. So that's that relationship. Okay? And so it often evolves, therefore, as a response to any commercial innovation and needs that may occur. Now, the BCom Law program that we offer at Regent Business School is actually designed in this particular manner. It is designed in order to actually reflect this particular symbiotic relationship, and it is then preparing students to understand and influence both areas or both arenas. And of course, in today's global economy, businesses operate across borders, and legal practitioners have to navigate multiple legal systems. So South Africa, with its unique position as a gateway to Africa and its robust legal framework, offers a very fertile ground for this kind of education. Our students learn not just South African law, but also international commercial laws. There's one very specific module in the BCom law, which is called International Business Law, which basically actually gives you an idea of some of the other laws and how they operate at the international level. And it's therefore aimed to equipping them to handle cross-border transactions and disputes in that particular manner. Okay, now let's look at the impact of AI and technology. Now, this is the current world we live in. We live we're living the fourth industrial revolution, finishing the fourth, actually entering the fifth industrial revolution. We're living in a highly technological world, and we have to understand how AI then is impacting on the various fields that we offer. So as we delve deeper into the 21st century, technology, particularly artificial intelligence, is revolutionizing the landscape of commerce and law. This technological era brings both opportunities and challenges that our students must be prepared to navigate. Now, let's just break it up a little bit and look at AI in commerce and AI in law, right? If you look at AI in commerce is transforming how businesses operate. Okay, so from automating routine tasks to providing deep insights through data analytics, companies are actually able to leverage AI to optimize supply chains, personalize marketing efforts, and enhance customer experiences. And in South Africa, AI is being increasingly adopted in sectors like retail, banking, and telecommunications. Incorporates these technological advancements, teaching students how to use AI tools to improve business operations. And we have various different platforms on which you will be introduced to AI. They learn about data privacy laws in the law, ethical considerations in AI deployment, and the legal implications of AI in commerce. And so this knowledge is crucial as businesses strive to remain competitive and compliant in a tech-driven world. Now let's look at AI in law, right? In the legal field, AI is streamlining processes such as legal research, reviews of contracts, case prediction. Law firms are adopting AI to increase accuracy and reduce costs. So, however, all of these raise questions about job displacement, ethical AI use, and the need for new legal frameworks to govern AI applications. So you'll see how even the law is developing in terms of various different pieces of legislation in order to accommodate AI into the legal world. Now, what's important is that the curriculum at Regent Business School, not only in the BCom law, but in all of its programs, actually aims to address these issues. And we want to address these issues and we want to prepare students who are registered with us to engage with AI, not just as a tool or as a tool to do all your assignments. No, use it as creatively as you can, as a subject of legal scrutiny. Let it become that critical component in your studies. And they study the evolving regulations around AI, that is the students, the implications of AI on things like intellectual property, and the ethical responsibilities of AI in legal practice. And this ensures that the students, therefore, will be well equipped to navigate the future of legal professions in an AI-driven world. Now, you must have heard this very, very often. And if you haven't, then you need to hear about it. And lots of the times I've spoken about what are the skills required to be a practitioner. And when I say practitioner here, I'm talking about a legal practitioner, because that's my background. It's law. I've taught law students to become lawyers. What skills are required now? We're living through the 21st century. The skills that I obtained when I got my law degree, they might still be important to a limited amount. But the graduate who comes out with a law degree or anything equivalent to a law degree or even the BCom law has to have these skills to be able to navigate the problems in the world. Okay, so the skills that I've listed here, these are the 21st century skills that we talk about: critical thinking and problem solving. Now, what is this? This idea of critical thinking, the ability to be able to analyze complex problems. And what? To be able to think through the problem critically and to be able to then develop an innovative resolution or solution. That is what critical thinking is all about. And that's why we put it together with critical thinking and problem solving. And so students will engage in case studies and various different types of assessments that will actually give them practice with the skill. Even assignments or even a simple thing like a quiz will ask you to solve a problem. And in order to solve a problem, you must understand the problem. You must think around the problem critically. And so this is basically ensuring that students will be able to approach challenges with a very strategic mindset. The second skill I have here is communication and collaboration. Now, effective communication and the ability to be able to collaborate across diverse teams is so critical. I don't know how to even emphasize how important, essential, and critical it actually is for you to be able to communicate effectively and for you to be able to work in diverse teams. Remember, we live in a very, very diverse country. And so we must be able to collaborate in terms of that diversity. And that is the makeup of today's very globalized world that we are a part of. So we emphasize these skills through things like group work, so group projects, where you will be put into a group and you work with people from diverse backgrounds, and you're able to then hone in on your team skills and your communication skills, and therefore your collaboration skills. And we create these situations and put you in these situations, encouraging students to be able to be curious, to embrace change, and to continuously update their knowledge and their skills. Okay? And then the next one is adaptability and lifelong learning. Adaptability is very, very important. We know that we are changing at a rapid pace. Okay? Today it's AI. I don't know tomorrow when I get up what it's going to be, or the next day. That's how rapidly we are changing. Okay, and this rapid pace of change in commerce and law demands that professionals who are involved in this field also need to be adaptable and committed to lifelong learning. And when we talk about lifelong learning, if we look at law, for example, the law changes, right? And why does the law change? The law changes because there's a need in the community for a new law, for a new approach to something. Something happens in commerce, and law has to respond by drafting and creating a new law that Parliament will pass. Now, that's adaptability. But adaptability of the professional means that you need to also be able to keep up with that. Hence, this concept of lifelong learning. Once you get your degree, you haven't learned it all, because whatever you learned in a degree may become undone by different or new laws. Okay? And so you have to be continuously learning in order to keep yourself updated in terms of what is happening within the field of your study. And the last one is around ethical leadership. Ethical leadership, to a large degree, is the cornerstone of our education philosophy at Regent Business, and of the various many institutions that exist. That is the cornerstone of communities, of society. That's how important ethical leadership is. And we should not judge ethical leadership by the leaders that we have in power at the moment. We should understand what the concept of ethical leadership is, and that's what we try to achieve here. So students are taught to lead with integrity. Okay, there's various different modules that actually do this, but it's almost cross-cutting in all most modules, to be able to make ethically sound decisions, to be able to promote fairness and transparency in all professional endeavors. Okay, so these are the 21st century skills that we have adopted, and we ensure that this is what you will leave once you have qualified with whatever qualification you have chosen. Okay. Now, a little bit about this growing area, which is very much sort of in demand, and lots of students are also, taking up studies in this. But you will note that it is a very, very dynamic area, and it covers both law and commerce. Okay, if you think about it, Islamic finance and banking are all regulated by Islamic law. Now, this sector is experiencing significant growth both locally and globally. According to recent reports, the global Islamic finance industry is projected to grow by $3.8 trillion by 2024. I can't even imagine how many zeros there are in that, but that's basically the situation currently. And in South Africa, we are really witnessing an increasing interest and investment in Islamic financial products, driven by both the Muslim community and investors looking for ethical financial solutions. And you will see that while there are certain banks that are purely Islamic banks, that many of the traditional banks have what is called Islamic banking windows. And if you study one of these particular programs, then you will have insight into that. So if we look a little bit at Islamic finance, it's based on principles of fairness, transparency, ethical investments, aligning well with growing global emphasis on sustainable and responsible business practices, etc. And by being able to integrate Islamic finance and banking into our curriculum in various different ways, we not only are broadening the students' horizons, but also aligning with global trends that emphasize ethical and inclusive financial systems. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the global community, right? Because remember, South Africa is not an island in the world, right? We're part of the global community. Recently, we've seen how we are part of that global community when South Africa took the case to the ICJ on behalf of the Palestinians, etc. And so you can see that we clearly, and when it comes to commerce, we're definitely not an isolated community. Just think about all the wonderful food you like from all the franchises, your Whoopies and your Burger Kings and your McDonald's and whatever, Steers and so on. Those are all what we can call being part of a global community, and that's specifically well within the whole concept of trade. Okay, so in the globalized world, students have to be prepared to engage with these diverse cultures, legal systems, economic practices. So you have to learn about how South Africa fits in with all the different parts of the world. So therefore, education in commerce and law is not just about mastering the theoretical aspects or just understanding it within the South African context. It's also about understanding how this can practically translate or how it can be applied in a global context, right? That's a very, very important aspect that we must be quite sensitive to and aware of. So graduates from Regent then will enter a world where they must be able to navigate international trade laws. They need to understand that. Cross-border mergers, multinational regulatory frameworks, right? A South African company wants to enter into a trade agreement with a company based in Botswana. What are the implications? How will that agreement happen, etc.? And so all of that is in terms of where we place ourselves within the global community. And so our students will be the ones drafting those policies that address global challenges like climate change, cybersecurity, economic inequality, right? These are all the things we see you as the future leaders doing once you are equipped with your qualification. And by instilling a strong foundation in both commerce and law, we aim to prepare the students to be adaptable, to be ethical, and to be the effective leaders on the global stage. That's what we would like to see. Okay. Now, just some facts and figures to see where we are and what's happening. And these facts and figures are in terms of commerce, as you can see. 8% growth in global trade volume. This is basically saying that there's a growth in global trade. That's South Africa and other countries. Then if you look at right, the global trade volume, as I said, is expected to grow by 8% in 2024. And what is this doing? It's emphasizing and it's telling us that there is a need for professionals who understand international commercial laws. And that's what we are going to expose you to. Then if you look at the fact that South Africa's export market is diversified, with significant trade relationships with China, the European Union, the United States, the BRICS countries, various different aspects. And again, we're participating in the global arena. Locally, you will see that Islamic finance assets have grown by over 15% annually, reflecting a robust interest in the sector. Okay. And AI adoption in South African businesses is projected to increase by 20% in the next 5 years, highlighting the importance of tech-savvy commerce and law professionals. And that's what I see you guys becoming in the near future. So, how are we preparing our students for this future? What is it that we are doing that is actually able to bring them up to standard to be the leaders of tomorrow? And so what I'm going to talk to you about is basically looking at some of the curriculum highlights that we offer that is actually preparing students for this. Okay, and as you will see here, I speak about balancing profitability with responsibility, equipping students for global challenges, building ethical and visionary leaders. That's basically what we're saying we want to do with our students when we say we're preparing them for the future. So what are some of the things that our curriculum offers, or what I refer to as curriculum highlights? So if you look at the BCom Law program, it is designed in a very, very thorough fashion. It has taken into account what we want as an outcome, and it wants that students must prepare for these challenges and opportunities. And this is why I'm just going to highlight a few areas for you that will give you insight into how the curriculum is actually gearing you up for this. Okay, so firstly is what we refer to as interdisciplinary courses. And so in fact, the BCom Law program is an interdisciplinary program because immediately it is cross-cutting between commerce and law. But if you look at the program design itself, then there's an offering of interdisciplinary courses that bridge commerce and law and technology. And so students will learn how to interpret international contracts, understand global trade laws, navigate the regulatory landscape of emerging technologies, and do simple things like be able to look at a contract, be able to draft a contract, various different things that are required within the business world, especially in terms of law. Then, in terms of practical experience, the program emphasizes practical experiences. And while you are not engaged in internships during the program, but we do offer opportunities for internships through our employability program, which is after you actually graduate. Okay, but there are there are very many practical examples that you will be exposed to. You will be, every assessment is for you to be able to deal with a live case study. And so what we do is when we give you things to study and we want you to apply your critical thinking and your problem solving skills, we will give you case studies. And sometimes those case studies are based on real case studies that have occurred. And in law, there's cases, which is different from case studies, which are matters that have come before the courts, and courts have given a decision on that, and you will be given exposure to that. And so you'll also have access to local businesses, law firms. In some of the modules, you actually take some field trips, etc. They may all not be necessarily directly in terms of law and commerce, but in terms of a general approach to commerce, these things are available. And of course, in terms of practical experiences, as you know, we have the iLead Lab, which allows you to do various different things, and you get to engage in some practical and fun stuff. So that's another forum where you are actually exposed to some practical work. And then we look at ethical foundations. All our qualifications have been designed in order to ensure that ethics are incorporated into the curriculum. It's critical for us to be able to develop leaders who are going to be ethically sound in their practices. So courses on business ethics, corporate governance, ethical AI use instill a strong moral compass in our students, and they learn to be able to balance profitability with responsibility, and it prepares them to lead with integrity. That is very, very important. And like I said, part of our curriculum is also giving the opportunity, that is, if you choose this particular area, but you do have other programs, and in your BCom, you might be able to do some of it. We offer specialized courses around Islamic finance and banking, which is taught by experts in the field. Students are able to explore the principles of Sharia compliant finance, the structure of Islamic financial products, and the legal frameworks governing that particular sector. And this knowledge is particularly relevant as South Africans continue to integrate more deeply with global Islamic finance markets. Because as I said initially, it's really a growing market. And so let's just sum up in closing what I've chatted to you about. Let us remember that the education we provide today, and any course that you do today, is shaping you to become the leaders of tomorrow. And in this particular qualification, by intertwining the disciplines of commerce and law, embracing technological advancements, and recognizing the growing importance of various different sectors, for example, Islamic finance and banking, we're not only equipping students with the tools for professional success, but also instilling in them the values and vision necessary for global leadership. So let's come back to the story I started with of Amy. The students, like Amy, will carry forward this legacy of ethical business practice and legal acumen, making meaningful contributions to the global community. And together, we want to build a future where commerce and law work hand in hand to create a more just, prosperous, and interconnected world. Okay. Thank you for listening so intently. I'm just going to put off the slideshow, and then I'm going to be happy to take any questions, comments, whatever. I'm sure there's lots of questions that you want to ask. If you're feeling shy, you could put your question on the chat, but you shouldn't feel shy. You're very, very welcome to be able to chat on here. So just put up your hands, and I will allow you to speak. Okay. Any questions? No questions. Yeah, I can see all of your names here, right? Don't run away. I'm not going to call out your names, but I'm just saying I could call on you to answer. Don't you have any questions? Don't you want to know anything about the presentation? I don't see any on the Q&A either. And I don't see anything on the chat so far. Please type any question. Okay. Oh, sorry. Yes. I'll give you some time. Maybe you're still thinking about the question you want to raise. Okay, I have one question. Let me just read it out for you. This was a good presentation, and you explained. I looked at the BCom law offered at UNISA. Why do they have more modules than Regent? Okay, let me quickly answer that question for you. Uh, the thinking behind UNISA's BCom law and the Regent Business Law is slightly different. That is why the BCom law at UNISA has more modules. Whereas at Regent, there is a huge focus on only BCom law, which basically means that you become a specialist in commercial law as opposed to looking at all the other types of law. So that's basically the design that was adopted when the BCom law was designed, which was about 4 or 5 years ago. However, after running it for about 4 or 5 years, the program is now currently under review, which is something that I am busy with at the moment. And it might be that the new BCom law would have a few more other modules in it. But as it stands, it has been designed with a very, very specific objective in mind, which is a bit different from perhaps what UNISA has. Okay, let me see. The next question that comes up is, how does the Constitution of South Africa affect precedents on previous legal matters? Example, if some is held to be unconstitutional. Okay, very, very interesting question. Thank you for that. Um, so let's just talk a little bit about the Constitution of South Africa before I actually answer that question, right? The Constitution of South Africa basically is the most important piece of legislation that governs every law in the country or every conduct even in the country. So it's not just law, but every conduct. So whatever government does is actually regulated by the Constitution. Whatever you and I, as members of society, do is regulated by the Constitution. So none of us, neither the laws nor our conduct, can be out of the framework of the Constitution. Now, when the Constitution was adopted, the final Constitution in 1996, which then made South Africa a democratic South Africa, etc. Although we became democratic in 1994, the Constitution was only finalized in November 1996. Now, that constitution, together with the constitution, was the establishment of the Constitutional Court. Now, let me tell you about what the role of the Constitutional Court is. The role of the Constitutional Court is to uphold the Constitution and to ensure that the Constitution and the clauses contained in the Constitution is not violated in any way. So matters that come before the constitutional court are only matters of a constitutional nature. If the matter is not about something constitutional, right, then the highest court in the land is the Supreme Court of Appeal that will hear the matter. And that court will have the last say on it. But only if a matter is dealing with something that's raising a constitutional issue, then the last court to hear that matter would be the constitutional court. So I hope I've answered your question in that respect. Okay. Then, okay, good. So the questions are coming in now. Thank you for the presentation. I have just commenced with my BCom Law through RBS, and I'm looking forward to. Okay, great. And I hope that you're going to enjoy the rest of your studies as you go along. Okay. I'm currently doing a Bachelor of Accounting second year and would like to add BCom Law degree. Would you advise me to do that? Okay, so what I would advise you to do is, if you're in your second year, finish your BCom. Finish your BCom accounting, and you can do an LLB after that. So then you've basically cut across both worlds. I would suggest that. Don't drop the BCom accounting and then and change it into a BCom law. This is basically my personal route would be to complete your BCom accounting and to be able to then do an LLB, and you'll be able to figure out whether you want to remain in the commerce field or whether you want to practice in the legal field. And marrying the both is about the best thing you can do. Okay, another question. In South Africa, our Consumer Protection Act underpins a large part of our commercial laws dealing with consumers and small businesses. Will this be covered in the curriculum? Yes, definitely covered in the curriculum. There's a whole module that it's called Consumer Law, where you will actually deal with this aspect of the law. Definitely dealt with in the thing. And let me see. All right. Okay. Any more questions? So I've answered all the questions. Any more? Very interesting questions. I like the fact that you're thinking in this kind of way. Yes? Any more questions? I think there's another one. Okay, cool. Is there RPL for some modules? Okay, so um, we do have something called recognition of prior learning. And if you have been in, say, for example, another institution and you started a degree there and you want to continue it with us, no problem, we will. But just understand that when I say we will, that we do have recognition of prior learning, it's a process. So we will interrogate those modules that you have studied somewhere else, and we will try and see whether it matches a particular module at Regent. And if it does, in terms of its outcomes, etc., then you will be given the credit for that. If it's not, then unfortunately you're going to have to do the module. But we do look at recognition of prior learning. Okay. Do we cover cyber laws in this syllabus? Well, we do. There is a module in the BCom law, I think it's in the second year, if I'm not mistaken, which is called e-commerce law. So it's not cyber law because cyber law is far more general in its approach and it looks at various different things within the cyber world. So it could also include cyber criminal law, etc. But e-commerce law basically looks at cyber law only within the commercial sector. So that's definitely factored in to the curriculum. Good going. Very, very interesting questions. Any more questions? I'll still give you some time. Okay, I can see something up here. Okay, walaikum salam. This is my first year studying after a very long time. I'm really looking forward to it. Great to hear that you come back to study. Not sure who this is because I can't see names, but welcome back to the study world. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. You spoke about AI, but there does not seem to be much law covering this. Well, yeah, look, AI is developing so fast that the law has not developed as fast in order to deal with the advent and the phenomenon of AI. So AI would be covered in things like e-commerce, etc. But as we speak, this is an area of the law that is still very much developing. So while it's such a big thing at the moment, the laws around this are still very much in a developmental stage. Okay. I'll wait for more questions. Okay. So, any more questions for me? Last chances now to ask your questions. All right, let's see. Chat. I've not been exposed to Islamic banking. It sounds very interesting. Is it exclusive for practicing Muslims? Or oh, no, absolutely not, my dear. It is not exclusive to practicing Muslims. If you look at the banks now, like I said, traditional banks, your ABSAs and your Standard Banks and your FNBs all have what are called Islamic banking windows. So while they are not Islamic banks per se, they have what are called Islamic banking windows, which offers you products based on Islamic banking principles. And even if you look at the Islamic banks themselves, the one that comes to mind is Abaraka Bank, does not preclude or exclude non-Muslims. Lots of people are now banking with Islamic banks purely because it is not operating on an interest basis. So that's the greatest difference between Islamic banks and traditional banks is that it's a no interest based banking system. So you're very, very welcome to explore that particular area. There's some higher certificates even that are offered in that particular area, and there's postgrad diploma. So yeah, there's quite a few programs around there. There's even a subject offered in the MBA around that. You're welcome. Any other questions? We have about 15 minutes left, so if you want to raise any more questions, you're very, very welcome to do it. But if you don't have any questions, then I can close now. But I would like to give you all the opportunity to raise your questions. I don't want to close off without each one of you have had a chance to at least ask your question. Any more questions? Okay, I see one coming up. How can apply what I learned in this course to starting my own business, even working from home or online? Well, there's lots you can do with this particular, with the BCom law. But if you really, really want to start your own business, then you can also look at a course in entrepreneurship, which we do offer at Regent. But with the BCom law, There's lots of things you can end up doing with this degree, right? Which I haven't really spoken to you about, and nobody has really asked me about it. But you could get into legal advising positions. You could get into legal compliance positions. You can become a bank employee dealing with compliance again. So really, there's a lot you can do with this. You can become company secretaries. You can become specialist legal advisors to companies, etc. So there's lots and lots of things, and depending on where you actually are able to do that, you can even become, a consultant to different people. That way, you can work from home, etc. Remember that while we all went and worked from home during COVID, and it has become almost a norm. More and more companies are looking at the work from home now. So while you might still end up doing a regular job, you might end up doing it from home and doing it online, etc. But there's lots of opportunities available. I'm currently studying supply chain. Does law fall as one of the subjects? Yeah. Well, in the BCom supply chain, there is a module on law. I think it's called commercial law, that you will end up doing. But it's just a peek into some aspects of commercial law. You won't really be getting in depth as you would in the BCom law. But that's generally up to you whether you have an appetite for the BCom law or whether you think you are better placed to remain in the supply chain. Any more questions? And hopefully, for those who are really interested in law, we're hoping to, once our application for accreditation has been approved and granted, to offer the LLB. But at this point in time, we haven't had um, our response from the Council for Higher Education as yet in terms of the accreditation, but that's something in the pipeline. So for those of you who are doing a BCom law, if and when the LLB is, well, not if and when the LLB comes into being at Regent, then you could continue your studies into the LLB. Okay. I think everybody's tired at this particular point in time of the day. So if there are no further questions, I would like to call the session a close. Somebody's just put up a question. Will the presentation be shared as well? Okay, I'm not too sure. I will have to check with the organizers, and then I can ask them to share it with those who attended this evening. Any more questions? Okay. Good evening. How would you advise someone who enrolls for BCom law for the first time the holistic approach? Okay, I'm not too sure. It's at Lebohang. I'm not too sure what it is you're asking, but I don't know. Let me try and see what you say. Are you asking that how would you advise when someone enrolls BCom law for the first time the holistic approach? Can you perhaps just tell me exactly what you want to know about this? If you're applying for the first time for BCom law, what about the holistic approach? Because I'm oh, sorry, no problem. You can Unless you want to ask the question, okay, it's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Okay. But yes, if the question is around how we approach the studies, then clearly it is um, a holistic approach in the sense that, as the presentation spoke as well, that we're not an island in South Africa. So while the course is on South African law and mainly around South African law, we put you in a position that you're able to understand that South Africa operates within a global context. So in that sense, yes, we do give you a holistic approach. And even the modules individually themselves are designed in a manner, the curriculum is designed in a manner to deal with various aspects around whatever that module is covering. So even if you're dealing with one of the first modules that you do in the first year is fundamentals of South African legal system. And even there, we show you how the legal system is derived from an international legal system. So in that sense, we're always linking with the global community. I hope that my answer has addressed your question. I'm not too sure about that, but I hope it has. Okay, you're welcome. Any further questions? No more questions? Okay. So let's bring this to a close then. I just want to say to all of you, thank you for your interest in the BCom Law program and maybe the other programs that I've referred you to. I hope that you're going to use this particular presentation to make up your mind, whatever it is. But I can guarantee you that whatever program you decide to study at Regent, you will be given a very, very similar foundation that I spoke about. All our programs are designed in that particular way. But I would like to see you in the BCom Law program. And hopefully, when you do get in and you do register, then I normally would be seeing you in your final year when I do property law with you. But otherwise, I wish you all well over this period of contemplation and decision. And I hope that your decisions are guided and that you're able to make the right choices at this particular point in time. Enjoy the rest of your evening and good night to all of you. Thank you so much for your patience during the presentation.